No.
How long were you at BYU for?
So I graduated from there actually. So I went a semester, and then I went on it's called LDS, but Mormon mission for 2 years. And I served in Chicago, Illinois.
Oh, no way.
So I was up in Chicago. I served in LaPorte, Indiana, which is right on the outskirts of Illinois. South Shore, Chicago, which is like in the very depths, like of Chirac, which I found out is like where I was living inside Chicago was like 2 blocks away from where Kanye West lived.
Nice. So did you find out that he was your cousin?
Yeah. So through another 23andMe DNA test, I found out that through Kim Kardashian by marriage, I am related to
The math
Yeezy.
checks out.
Yeah, the math checks out. 2 + 5, Kanye West.
So, so what was that like moving to Chicago and living over there? I'm guessing you stayed in Hawaii your whole life before that, huh?
Yeah, I had no clue. I thought that location, like states, had just one weather. So, like some people told me it would be cold, like in Chicago, and I was like, okay, so it's gonna be cold all year round. But I got there and it was hot, it was sticky. And then, my first experience was getting off the plane. And so you go to the MTC in Utah and you train over there for like 2 weeks if it's English speaking.
Uh-huh.
So you stay there for 2 weeks and you kind of just brush up and kind of learn like the lesson plans and everything. Excuse me.
All good.
So you learn the lesson plans for 2 weeks and then they send you out. And then you meet up with your mission president, the person that's in charge of the area. Mm-hmm. And he picked us up and took us into Chicago, like with all the big buildings and everything. Took us to Giordano's. But in order to get to the city from the airport, you have to take a train. It's like super foggy in my mind, but you have to get on the train. And the first thing they did was they handed us a Book of Mormon and some pass-along cards, just the cards with information about the church on it. And they said, go talk to people. This is within probably 30 minutes of getting into Chicago.
Wow.
And so there was about, I want to say 8 people in the group that came to Chicago in that time. And most of us just like sat there on the train like this, just like not wanting to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
And I found this one guy. I just went straight up to him and I was just like, oh, how was it? It's like, yeah, have you ever heard of, the Book of Mormon and anything? Man, this guy, of course it would be a preacher. And he just like laid it all on me. This is, coming out of 2 weeks of, and what I knew from the church from growing up. And
super
stuff.
Early 20s.
Yeah, I was 19 when I left.
Wow.
Yeah, 19 when I left. And then he just slammed it like boom, like with everything, facts and scriptural evidence and talking about Aramaic and all these other things. And I just remember just like feeling so humbled. And then I just like told him, I was like, I don't know everything, but this is what I do know, and I'm not trying to like one up you or it's like, and then I think he saw that and then he leveled with me and he was like, I didn't mean to, like tear you down or anything. Yeah. And then we connected on like, we both believe in Jesus Christ and, this is what life is about, experiences and experiencing that. And I really got to, I think that broke me out of my Hawaii shell. Straight up, and that was the first experience. And then just throughout the 2 years that I was there, there's so many other experiences that I've had that have just kind of like broken me out of that whole like, oh, when I grow up, I just like sing ukulele and cruise on the beach with my puka shell necklace, bruh. So
yeah, that must have been hard for 2 reasons. So one, it's religion based, so you gotta spread religion around to people, which is super like a daunting task, and it's a polarizing thing. There's so many different religions, and then you got how people view Mormons, where it's like, oh, I was knocking on doors, sharing whatever. There's like the play Book of Mormon, right?
Yeah.
Which is really funny. I don't know how if you've seen it, the Book
of
Mormon.
No, I haven't.
Oh, is there a reason why?
I just don't meddle in it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure because I know other members that have gone and seen it, and they enjoyed it, or they're like, oh, this was, they have something against it. I was just like, I don't want to have an opinion on it.
Yeah. Just
like,
stay neutral.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so going back to that, you're dealing with that. You're 19, living on your own, I'm guessing for the first time,
Yeah.
having to see all these different people that don't look like people from Hawaii, the people you grew up with. They talk differently.
Yeah.
They eat different things. So you're dealing with all of that all at once, and still trying to discover who you are as a person, your identity, all of that.
Yeah.
So like, how did you deal with it?
The one thing I could relate to is that, so Chicago is very like, it's like Kalihi on crack. You know what I mean? Like, Kalihi is considered kind of the ghetto. Growing up in Kalihi, I mean, I'm a pale-skinned Polynesian. Nobody looked at me like I was Polynesian.
Yeah.
Growing up in Kalihi, everybody thought I was some, like this white kid. And so I had to like get tough skin real quick, especially going through middle school and high school era. And so I took that with me to Chicago, like, just got to flare the nostrils and bring so this is me regularly, but then when I'm walking through like Kalihi down Gulick, eyebrow goes down, nose flares, and it just feels like that.
Oh, hey, take it easy. Scary.
For anybody out there,
don't look at that camera. You're gonna scare them away.
But that would be something, and it's just you just kind of have to put it on. It's I know that's as dumb as it sounds, but you just gotta.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's what seemed work for me. So I took that with me to Chicago, and a lot of my companions. So on a Mormon mission, you have a companion, someone that's with you constantly, and you guys keep each other accountable. And most of my companions were from Utah, and if you
Mormon Central,
like talking about Hawaii boy going to Chicago, talk about Utah boys going to Chicago, like that's so much more different for them, I would feel like. But they just didn't know how to respond to like the harshness of people, or like the stares, or like a white boy, or a Jesus boys, or stuff like that. So when we'd be walking through the city, or we walking down, and it's called tracting, like knocking on people's doors and stuff, you just gotta, I put the Kalihi face on, just eyes furrowed, eyebrows furrowed, and nose, nostrils up. Not in a mean way, but just like, I don't know. For me, I felt like I was asserting some type of dominance.
Yeah. It's like puffing your chest up.
Yeah. And it just, if you showed like if you're walking down the street and you're just kind of like side eyeing like this and walking, they know that you're scared of them, and then that just allows them to be like, okay, we're gonna go pick on these guys, So whenever we'd walk, my companion would walk behind me, and I just walk through. And I'm still like, I didn't have long hair, obviously. I had like a crew cut and everything, but I felt like I held better than my companions from Utah would, or Colorado would.
Because of your upbringing.
Because of my upbringing in Kalihi, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what was your biggest takeaway from that mission?
Not everybody is going to have the same opinions or views as you do. That this is for the church. The church is the same everywhere. Like, we all have different lifestyles and stuff, but the church is really like what brings us together. Like, you can go anywhere in the world, and you just be able to connect on that foundation. Yeah. So that's something. But most importantly it's like nobody's gonna like have the same views as you do. I remember it was reversed. We were in our apartment. It's called P-Day. It's like your rest day, where you just kind of do your laundry, you go shopping for groceries and stuff like that. And it was reverse Uno card. The Jehovah's Witness were knocking on our door. You're like, well. But I remember that happened, and we let him know we're missionaries for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he was like, it was a good conversation between us two, and we had our differences and stuff, and we just left it at that. And so we were getting ready to head out to go to the market, and they were talking to someone across at the apartments across the street, and we saw them, we waved our hands, and then he just went off on us there were two of them, and I don't know if he was like trying to showboat in front of the person they were talking to, but he started, those are Mormons, and then there's words that I probably won't say, but he just kept going off on us, and I was like, we just had a really cool conversation, and that kind of clicked for me. It was like, okay, people like in front of you will say things like that will kind of be level, but I don't know what his situation was, but there was a lot of situations like that. Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy. I remember sitting next to a Jehovah's Witness, some Jehovah's Witness people when I was tabling, because I work part-time as a Peace Corps recruiter at UH, so we do some tabling. And I was sitting next to him, so I honestly knew nothing about Jehovah's Witness, what it is. Yeah. So I was just curious, asking them questions and all this stuff. I did learn that their website is translated into like 100 something different languages, which is super cool. Like they even have Malagasy, the language of Madagascar, and Hawaiian, like everything.
Wow.
So I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I learned a little bit about Mormonism when John Ursula came on the podcast last year.
Yeah.
And so about like the companions and P-Day and all of that.
Yeah.
Were you forced into this? Is it like a kuleana, or even more than that, just like an obligation as, you know, someone in your family?
Yeah, so I'm the first boy in the family. Usually it's like recommended, or they really push it. It's the kind of like you said, it's like your responsibility.
Yeah.
And I never felt pushed. It was my decision. I was heavily influenced by my parents, but that's something I always think about. I was like, is that a choice that I made myself, or is it a choice that my parents made for me, you know? I like if how do I say this? If I could do it over again, I would wait a little bit longer. Because right when I finished my first semester at BYU, it was like, okay, mission. And I was just, I wish that I had more time to think about it, but I would have still gone. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure you learned a lot about yourself and others and gained so much experience from that. What happens if you say no, or you don't do a mission? Are you not considered part of the church anymore?
No, you just, it's like, I'm trying. you don't get disowned. You don't get like thrown out of the church. It's just a decision you make. But so here's the thing that I always say about the church. The church and its teachings are true, but sometimes the people in the church can make you feel like excluded. And that's not for I'm not talking about all the members in the world and all these things, but sometimes people have like a certain opinion. Like if you didn't go on your mission, oh, what did he do? What did this person do? Did he do this? Did he do that? Remember that girl he was dating? Oh, I wonder if they did it, you know? And then just word gets like, you know, small community talk.
Yeah,
so you take that small community and then you take it into an even smaller community of members, you know? I'm not saying every member in the church is this way, but just like, let's call it for what it is. There's talk, you know? Like if somebody doesn't come to church anymore, then you're like, oh, what happened? Oh, I heard so-and-so got divorced. Why did they get divorced? I heard she was fooling around with so-and-so. Oh, this, you know, talk's going to be talk, whether it's in the church or whether it's, you know, at the club or, you know, anything.